Welcome to the LSPAA Coffee Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Ron Platt, co-founder of the National Association for Single and Divorced Families. Today's podcast, along with our host, Piper Inc., we have the honor of meeting Nate Ginter, who is the founder and principal consultant at reductivedynamics.com.
Yes,
there
sir.
we go. Nate helps companies implement and manage IT security and compliance programs because cybersecurity isn't just IT's job, it's a leadership skill. And with 51% of businesses operating with no framework for running in a secure and efficient manner, at some point you're going to need Nate to set up a secure IT program for your company. Thanks for being here today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Ron.
Absolutely. Now, I know discussing IT is like discussing insurance, and I'm in the insurance business as well. So people do that, or they don't want to ask a lot of questions.
Yep.
I know at some point my company's going to need to have an IT specialist come in and provide some kind of security because I don't want somebody hacking my business and asking me to pay hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars for my 2 pieces of information. So tell me a little bit about how you got involved in what you're doing and why you're doing it.
So the way that I got involved currently, with what I'm doing, I go in and I help companies that are either, typically the people that come to me are either having trouble, there's some sort of pain point, or they're additionally they have to meet some sort of compliance requirement. So everybody's heard of HIPAA, right? So you have an expectation when you walk into your doctor's office that they're protecting your data. So there's a regulatory framework that tells you, okay, here's 170 things you need to be doing, right? The dirty secret is that really anybody that has, whether or not you're holding people's data that you're worried about getting out, right? So if you're running a landscaping company, for example, you're probably not holding a lot of data that if your client list got out, they're not going to see any repercussions from that.
Right.
But people are often surprised how much they actually have and how much information can be activated even outside of those regulated frameworks. But what it really is about is making sure that your company is operating effectively. If you've got a good security program, your IT operations will also work well. The opposite is not true. Most people just care about, hey, am I able to do what I need to do on a daily basis and get the widget shipped out the door, everybody's happy and the place hasn't burned down. That's their measure of success. Those people are often, as you said, they're not clued into the importance of security. And have actually, obviously, security is cybersecurity. Those terms can be a little nebulous, but what it really is just making sure that you're actually running efficiently and in a protected manner.
And it's usually an after the fact call that you get, probably.
Right. Well, so it's all over the place. One of the things that I'm very fortunate at, I'm certified. The military just released new guidance for the Department of Defense, and now they're not just taking people's word for it; they're going in and doing auditing. Doctors' offices have the same thing under HIPAA. Financial services companies. So a lot of them are starting to get questions, and even business owners that are outside of that. Again, we'll go back to the landscaping company. I deal with manufacturing companies up in Clearwater that make bolts and screws, right? Well, why are they so concerned about cybersecurity? It's across the board, but those people come with pain points. But also now, most people are carrying cyber liability insurance for their business, and that's a huge driver for actual security increases. Because even 10 years ago, it's kind of the Wild West, right? You get a $5 million policy for $1,000 a year, and nobody really cared, right? Then ransomware hit and some other things, and a lot of things have been done to mitigate the ease and ability to propagate ransomware. But that concept of something that could affect your entire business operation doesn't always have to be somebody outside or somebody nefarious. People make mistakes, accidents happen. A lot of the basics of IT are really what feeds into a good cybersecurity program. So my background, I got into IT about 20 years ago now. Used to have a gorgeous head of hair. This is what IT will do to you children. But it was fascinated me. Anything with the beeps or bops, always got me as a kid. I was the kid who was disassembling the little fire truck that I got for Christmas.
I used to disassemble the clocks.
100%.
I'd have all the parts out. My parents were like, put it back together. I'm like, I have no idea. I just like seeing how it works.
My dad came in one day, and I was in the process of dismantling the old 13-inch TV that I had, and I had gotten it to the point where it was just a picture. He's like, "Do not play with that. That explodes." So that's really kind of the best way to learn IT, right?
Yeah.
You take stuff apart and see what explodes. So after doing that for close to 20 years, I had a company that I co-founded right here in St. Petersburg called Vine IT. They're a managed IT services provider, and people know me as kind of like the tech guy, and they're like, well, what are you doing now different from them? So really, it is a difference between kind of boots on the ground, the people doing the support every day. That's managed IT services, and what I do is more oversight and security program and operations, right? So organizational side of things. So it's one thing to say like, yeah, we have a company that handles all of our patching, or they handle all of our antivirus security incidents, backups, these sorts of things. It's another thing. Oftentimes, if you dig into them and you actually ask for reports and proof that things are happening, you'll find that there's these weird gaps that are going on. Sometimes just doing an audit of the amount of users you have a company that's been around for 10 or 20 years, the likelihood that there's legacy users that were in system A, B, but we removed them from D.
Right.
But they're, or 3 out of 4 systems that are critical we remove them from. So all of these things feed into building a healthy operating environment. But those operations people, soldiers are great, can't fight a war without them, but you need a battle plan. You need generals and lieutenants overseeing those things. You would never go in and say, hey, we need to go take that castle. Hey, you random archer over there, go get it. And tell everybody around you what they need to do. Well, you would want to give them guidance, right? So, and that's really, what I do in my capacity at Reductive Dynamics, and I feel very blessed to get to do so. And it was awesome. I had the opportunity to exit the kind of being on the operations and support side and go into sort of the executive consulting space. A lot of people have heard of the term like VCSO, or people use fractional accounting and all these things. And what it is, it's a way for me to be able to provide the oversight, guidance, and help people get their businesses arranged in such a way that they're sustainable, long-term, and secure, and I don't have to charge an arm and a leg.
Right.
So that's what really helps with that on the
What's your
side.
ideal client?
So ideal clients, it's funny because it's a wide net. It's everything from defense contractors. Really, it's anybody who has an IT infrastructure and they have data that they care about, right? So if you're running an ice cream shop, I'm probably not the best candidate for you, right? You've maybe have 1 or 2 terminals, and you're using a Gmail address. I get it, limited IT budget. But typically when a company hits, over 10 to 20 employees, they start to realize that, us all working out of like one Dropbox account that's in the owner's name from 10 years ago isn't really cutting it anymore.
Right.
So they start to look at, the Microsoft 365 platform and SharePoint and all these things. And those are great tools, but the security is on you to really implement and make sure that you're protecting them. And I'll give you a specific example. One of the biggest concepts in what I do, I come in and look for people who have built a screen door right next to a vault door, right? So Microsoft, by its nature, by default, you can get to from any place in the world that has a web browser, right? So your attack surface for your platform where you're storing all your files and your emails are huge. Now, Microsoft has additional licensing that costs some money and some expertise to set up, but they can make it so that only devices that an administrator is pre-registered can get to. So it's, a lot of people get focused up on, we lock our workstations down like this. And I went into a company, won't say their name, but they were going through a military audit. And they were, they were super proud. They had, 100 pages of documentation on everything that they were doing. And where they actually stored their data was on a platform that I typed into a web browser on my computer and logged in with. And I said, guys, all of that's great, but none of it matters.
Wow.
We've overlooked the basics here, which is to say you have a lot of requirements for getting onto one of your computers, but there is no requirement for anybody accessing the platform where your data is actually being held. Sometimes it's the simplest things, that get overlooked. And so, those things and, being being in the support and operations side for 20 years, I've built all this stuff from the ground. I've implemented it. I've done migrations from any system you can think of to any other system you can think of, right? So kind of know where the bodies are buried. And it helps me locate these things that aren't always immediately apparent.
Right.
And there are sometimes where there's some uncomfortable realities to contend with, where people will hire an IT company, and if you look at the contract, they're doing very specific things. But in the person, you know, who's purchasing the service, in their mind, they want to go, well, they've handled all that stuff.
Right.
And in the all that stuff bucket goes a lot of things that you would never do with finance.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like, hey, or you know, if your tax preparer doesn't care if you have overdue invoices, right? That's a separate. They're both financially related, but they're separate expertise levels and separate, you know, governing functions. And that's, you know, kind of how security, what we call cybersecurity and compliance. I call it organizational versus operational IT. I'm on the operations side, and you know, love the guys at Vine. Shout out Mike Thackeray.
I was going to ask.
One of my good friends and former partner. You know, really set me up for success.
You mentioned
when I went
landscaping and Vine, and I'm like, so Mike was a landscaper.
That's very funny. But great guy, dear friend. Love him and the whole Thackeray and Vine family. You know, they're great folks. So highly recommend them for the day-to-day stuff. But
that's interesting. So that's the difference between the two of you.
Yep, absolutely.
So go over that again. So Mike would do.
So Mike will. So there's basics that, like, whether you're running an ice cream shop. Or you're running somebody that needs to be military lockdown, there's basics. And also, when something's not working or somebody is having an error accessing something legitimately, you need somebody to look into that, right? So that would be what I call the operational IT support side. They're running the patching systems, they're running the antivirus systems, they're providing support for John or Mary who can't sign into their email, they need a password reset, right? That's an operational function. Telling them, hey, we need you to report these metrics to us so that we know things are getting done, making sure that's happening. Finding the advanced security requirements that you might have depending on, you know, whether you're using a Google Drive or Microsoft, and making sure that they're configured properly for your risk tolerance level or the importance of the data that you've got, right? There are controls that if you have financial data, for example, that you're putting in for clients into a system that you're legally required to do under the Gramm-Leach-Bliley Act that doesn't come into play if you don't have that data, right? If you're, you know, if you're making fidget spinners and you've got a client list, well, you're not going to have a lot of personally identifiable information about those folks. So that's something that comes up quite frequently, and that's kind of a big distinction. One is kind of support and making things work, and then the other side of that is, you know, making sure that they're working securely and doing the governance and oversight for those things.
Love it. What are some of the challenges you faced and overcome with your career and perhaps even your personal life?
Well, a lot of those are very closely mingled. So,
as an
entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So I had started out, you know, the first probably 7 years of my adult life. I was in the restaurant industry. I was a waiter, bartender, assistant restaurant manager. Never quite made it to full manager, but I got close. You know, I dreamed of the top. And then I had a very interesting thing happen. I was always a night guy, right? So, you know, 3 a.m. was like, you know, 4 p.m. to me.
Right.
And it was a body clock thing. I just started having anxiety attacks and panic attacks if I didn't go to bed by like 11 or 12. My body decided it wanted to join everybody else in the day walking world. And, you know, as in that industry, if you can't really work nights, you're not going to make a lot of money. So I wanted to look for another career that I thought I would be good at. But I was like 26, 27 at the time. And so I didn't want to go spend 4 years in college. So I found my local community college had a Microsoft IT Academy. So I got certified as a Microsoft Certified Systems Administrator. One of the cool things about IT and even in cybersecurity, you can go the traditional university route. Some are better than others, but generally speaking, you're going to be a bit behind the times just because it takes years to get a program developed, approved, to get people through it, lessons learned. So typically in a university, the curriculum that you're getting on every year is a couple years old. Some are a little better, but you're usually at a minimum 3 to 4 years behind where
That
things
makes
are at.
sense.
So certification and self-study.
Yeah.
If you can go and some certifications you demonstrate actual skills alongside. Some of them are just question and answer. But if you're good with self-study, and I mean these days with Chat GPT and YouTube and all the other stuff, I mean there's not much in this world you can't teach yourself.
Right.
I was homeschooled up until like about 7th grade. So self-study for me is like second nature. So
Right.
I'm just able to rip through stuff like
Right.
that. Especially for some reason, you give me Jane Austen, I can't make it 2 pages, but you hand me a tech manual on Microsoft Server. I can just buzz right through that.
Yeah.
It's very odd. And so
I'm impressed you came up with Jane Austen. That was pretty good.
Hey, listen. I just thought of, hey, what book do I hate the most? So sorry, Jane Austen fans. It is what it is. Some of her stuff's good. I like the movies better than the books. but yeah, so I kind of switched gears there, and the real challenge, honestly, for me, the biggest challenge was always imposter syndrome, because I started out. I worked for a large company to start, but they got sold. They were little regional, actually the 7th largest telecom provider in the United States. There's a big difference between number 7 and number 6.
Right.
So, I started working there on the support side, and just knew, I was like, okay, I'm in the right industry. And then I found a company to go work for after that company got sold, that was a managed service provider, which I was not even familiar with the industry. I was, I didn't even know that such things existed, but it's, basically an outsourced IT department.
Right.
And I was very fortunate. Young in my career, I was their 4th employee. They didn't have like a dedicated help desk and phone answering system. I was the first guy. And they were like very supportive in that, anything I could do, they were like, well, let's keep skilling you up. Like, hey, can you deploy a help desk monitoring system? I don't know, but I'll try.
Right.
Can you figure out how to make this work at like 50 different clients? I don't know, but I'll try. And just kept doing these things. And because I went
So
from
you were doing development.
yeah, so not software development, but software implementation of platforms.
Yep.
So what the thing kind of became, it was very funny. When you're working in smaller shops, it's kind of hard to know writ large, what things are expected. And because in the MSP environment, you might be talking in one phone call to a chiropractor office that has 5 people, and you might be talking to a manufacturing company that has 200 locations, right? That's just, it's very odd, the different size and scope. So I especially as you're going and getting certified in different technologies, especially newer stuff that maybe you didn't play with a lot, it's hard to know your actual skill level, right? That validation, and also dealing with the fact that you're never really done, right? As an MSP, you are dealing with problems all day, right? So you can solve all of them, and then you come in tomorrow and there's a new pile, right? So a lot of these factors kind of play in together, and it was really, that's what drew me to the security and compliance space, because they get audited. So when you go through an audit and you pass, somebody is tapping you on the shoulder and going, what you've put together here works, and it's sufficient. So that people are scared of that, understandably.
Sure.
I find it invigorating.
Yeah.
So I really like it. The military standard stuff, it's called CMMC. And that, going through one of those audits under the new standard, I had one of the first 500 companies to go through that process as one of my clients. And we got a perfect score off the bat. I'm going to tell you, me and the IT company that they were working with, high fives and bourbons afterwards, man. It was one of the greatest feelings. And I actually said to the owner of the IT company, I said, hey, I used to own a similar company, and I can tell you I rarely felt this level of like satisfaction or accomplishment, just because those milestones, if you're doing a good job, they keep you. Right. But other than a little client feedback here or there, it was really cool to get to see that and implement those things. Very cool. A lot of fun.
How did you get involved in LSP?
So LSP, Mike, my former partner, had gone through it. I think in
class of 2020.
Is that what it was? Okay, I thought we had a gap here. I was 2022. Okay, second to none. All right. And just a great group of people. Yep. You were the COVID year.
I was 2020. See, we were 2020 COVID year, yes.
Yeah.
And then I mentored 2021.
Okay, yeah. So that you guys didn't quite get the same level of in-person community experience as we did.
We did on our seminars, but we weren't able to complete our project, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So the seminars, and I got to know a lot of people that I still hang with to this day, and that I love talking to. Really, really great organization. And one of the things that was really apparent to me when I went through it is, you're going to run into people from every sector, walk of life, age, that are there. And it's just going to put you in conversations and in situations that you're probably not going to deal with regularly. Right. And so for me, it was a very, very eye-opening experience. It was great practice, honestly, for, the dirty secret that we say during the interview process for LSP, why do you want to be an LSP, right? The number one reason everybody's there is networking.
Right.
No one ever says networking. It's always, well, I want to say
I don't even remember what I asked.
Right. Oh, dude, you made some bullshit.
I want to meet people. I just moved here and I don't know anybody.
Well, it was very funny because I volunteered as one of the facilitators for the interview day the one day, and there was a guy who came in, and when he left, everybody was like laughing, and they were like, "Yeah, he's in." And I was like, "What happened?" And they go, "Well, we asked why he was here. I forget the exact word of the question, but he goes, "Oh, I'd like to network with other business owners and important people." Which is like the reason everybody's actually, I'll say 90+% of people are doing it. And they were like, we're passing him. That's it.
Right.
That's the first
He's
guy
the only one
that answered, honestly.
It's hysterical.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what I answered for that. I know they asked me if you were a paperclip, what would you do or something like that. And I was like, I would bring people I don't remember. Like something about bringing people together and keeping them in place.
Yes.
Or something like that. And they were all like, ooh, that's good. And wrote that down, but who knows? So I got to ask, what motivates you in the morning?
What motivates me in the morning is honestly a genuine lust for life.
Okay.
I feel very fortunate when I was a younger man and, struggling and waiting tables and, ripping cigarettes outside a 110-degree kitchen and going like, I'm capable of more. As I progress through my life, it's been cool to see, okay, can I do things? And there's been things that I'm good at and things that I'm terrible at. But getting to explore that every day, it's a 1 in a trillion shot that you're, here living in this time, in this country, and, thank God, relatively healthy.
Yep.
And so, just getting to see what the new challenges are, and quite frankly, I've got a great circle of friends and family, and I love just being around them, and life itself is a key motivator for me, and I like toys.
I love it. I love it. It sounds like your work is your passion, but do you have a passion project?
Oh yeah. So what's really funny, the work when I went back and I tried to figure out what I'd be good with, I knew I had a proclivity for technology. It made sense to me.
Right.
It's all logic. I'm also terrible at math, which is very funny because people always assume IT and security. You can't do it if you're not good at logic, but you actually don't have to be great at math.
Yeah.
If you look at what an IT guy does on a regular basis, advanced mathematics, not usually part of it. So I was like, okay, this is a cool skill that doesn't require a lot of skilling. Been through that. And so as I went through and I progressed in the industry, it's just been really cool to get to see that passion that I have is more for how can I be the most value in society and in business, and then also translate that into, listen, they say money doesn't solve any problems, but I found that not having it creates a lot of problems.
Correct.
So, hey, listen, I'm like everybody else. I'm a capitalist, and I like to make money and provide a good service for people. I get to do those things wrapped up, and then growing that business and enhancing those capabilities is really my passion. And then I'm also a rugged indoorsman, man. I love a good e-sport. I play, Fortnite and Battlefield and all kinds of Civilization stuff with my buddies. Currently, ranked as wild card rank 2 in Arc Raiders. So, if anybody out there's fighting the robots, I've got your back. Give me a shout.
I want you in a cyber war. What's your secret power?
My secret power is communication. So one of the things that, you know, and this was true in the IT industry, but it's true in many industries, I could kind of see the lay of the land very quickly as far as how the hierarchies, power structures, and frankly pay structures work for these types of systems. And one thing that I really noticed was it wasn't the best technical people or necessarily even the smartest people in the room that were leaders, right? It was that you know, leadership is its whole own skill set outside of these things.
Yep.
And a key component of leadership, you know, I've done some things in the past with, you know, Boy Scout type groups and things, you know, I've been in relatively minor leadership positions, and I just knew communication was a huge thing. Typically speaking, the rap on, you know, most tech people is that they're basement gnomes, right? And I just happen to be a basement gnome that, you know, knew how to talk when I got into the sunshine.
Right.
So that's really it's the biggest thing, and it's one of the things that you know, even when I was working at Vine and we were hiring a lot of, you know, lower level techs or people that were younger into the industry, their ability to communicate was super important. And it's, you know, you have to sometimes have difficult conversations with people, and being able to navigate that is something that, you know, not toot my own horn, I'm fairly, you know, adept at, and I like I find those things. People run a lot from what they think are going to be uncomfortable conversations, and they will deal with mountains of discomfort to not have to face a molehill of discomfort. It's very
I have
odd.
one at 4:30 today.
Well, hopefully
I prefaced it with an email saying, here's what we're going to talk about, just so you're prepared.
Nice. Well, no, you know, and I will tell you, even in that though, that in itself, that communication, that pre-communication, you're setting the stage for somebody so that they know what they're expecting.
Correct.
There's no anxiety going into it.
Yep.
It sounds like it might be something where there's some tension, and it's even that itself, like, you know, those little things. Whenever I send out an email, I always make sure I preface it. I don't care if we've talked 3 times a day. Hey, good evening, good afternoon, good morning.
Right.
You know, thanks to the sign off. You know, you don't just have your little signature, you know, sent from my iPhone. Like, you know, a little bit of decorum and, you know, generally speaking, and I've dealt with hundreds of people who are high-level decision makers. Generally speaking, if you communicate in an effective way with people, you're going to get, even if it's an uncomfortable situation, you're going to get the best outcome out of a bad situation. And
I always say, start with a compliment, go into your concerns. Don't necessarily bash them over the head over it.
Right.
But tell them, here's what our situation is, and we need to discuss about a resolution. So.
Where it gets tricky, and especially where a lot of people falter, is in high stress situations, and you see a lot of them in IT and security. You know,
I bet.
If you've got a client, you know, who's got 200 employees and the systems that they work out of are all down, that guy's bleeding thousands of dollars a minute.
Right.
Right. And so you have to be able to meter yourself towards the situation. I can be talking to that same guy running into him in the grocery store.
Right.
And we're going to, of course, have a completely different conversation. Right. I could be meeting to talk to them about needing to charge them more, and we're going to have a completely different conversation. So, you know, in everything, preparation and charity get you so far in communication.
Yep.
And if there is a superpower that I have, it's that. I would trade all that for flight. But unfortunately, for the ability to fly. Yeah, I'd rather be mute and be able to fly, but this is what I was born with.
Well, that's what dreams are for.
That's right, exactly. Hey, that's why they make computers. I can slap on the VR headset.
Exactly.
You know, there it is. Best of both worlds.
How do people get in touch with you?
How do people get in touch with me? So the easiest way is my email address, nate@reductivedynamics.com. We've also got a website, and you can, if you go to reductivedynamics.com, there's an option, top right corner. You can book a Teams meeting with me at any given time. Anybody who has any, you know, questions, they're worried about their business, I'm always happy to talk to them, especially fellow LSP members. You know,
do we get a discount?
I don't ever charge just to talk to people. You know, if you've got a problem or you've got something, I might be the right resource for you. I might not be.
Right.
You might have the budget for me, you might not.
Right.
But even people that need some basic guidance and they can't afford anything, I'm always happy to point them in the right direction. Say, hey, you're using X, Y, or Z. Here's 5 things you need to worry about. Or if you've got a specific challenge and there's a software that'll do it for you, I'm always happy to
An honest
chat with
man. I
somebody.
like that.
Yeah. Well,
But tell me again how to get in touch with you.
Nate at Reductive Dynamics.
ReductiveDynamics.com.
Yes.
ReductiveDynamics.com.
And I'm also on LinkedIn. So I'm Nathan Ginter on LinkedIn, or I think Nate Ginter works as well. But
Yeah.
if I'm not one of your LinkedIn connections, just add me and we'll
That's what I did
get
today.
going. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I honestly I don't do as much LinkedIning as I should. But I will make sure that I get in there and approve your request.
Thank
today.
God. Okay.
Absolutely.
Any last words for us?
Oh, well, I will just say, as far as last words go, it's always incredibly cheesy when you sign off with like a catchphrase. So
Y'all come back now here.
yeah, that's right. That's right. So my last words would be simply this: if you need anything that is security, compliance, or IT related, give me a call and I'll connect you with the right people. And also, because it is St. Pete, be like, listen, 3 p.m. on Friday is close of business.
Right. So don't call you after that.
Exactly.
I like that. I'm a realtor. I work 7 days a week, So, yeah, I get it. Well, thank you, Nate. I really
Absolutely,
appreciate it.
Ron. It's been an
This has
absolute pleasure, my friend.
Absolutely. This is another episode of LSPAA Coffee Talk Podcast. We appear every Monday on Facebook and on YouTube, so please make sure to check us out. And thanks again.